So we have to talk with Frank, a Taoiseach to be and former Taoiseach. He made a few comments, and there's another comment to what to touch on, and touch on another day because I'll be here for an hour if I was talking about it. So it's basically about arming all the Garda. He wanted to arm every Garda in the state, basically. Every Garda, from the White Fire community Guard, everything. He wanted to arm them all. He wanted to basically turn this into America, basically. But first of all, it's a bad idea. I will explain, just give me a few minutes. But first of all, I want to just give this point. During the 60s, during the 70s, during the 80s, during the 90s, when there was trouble on the border in the Republic of Ireland, the Guards never needed the arm. The army was out and things like that, but the Guards, the Viking Fire Guards, never needed to be armed. And I think that's a credit to the country, that it didn't never need to be armed. It was safe enough for the Guards to go around. I know a few Guards died in the troubles and things like that, but it's safe enough that they didn't have to carry more guns. And I don't think we should have only Guards carrying around guns, because again it can lead to incidents like typical trigger happy Guards. If somebody makes, God forbid, just makes goes for their insurance or something, and they think they're pulling the gun or something, things can happen like that. That's happened before in America. Some guards might be mentally insane or something like that, and we might not know it, and they might shoot the person by mistake. Again, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it suits Ireland for guards to go around with guns. I think it should be very, very limited. That's the way it is now. Detectives obviously should go carry around handguns and things like that. But then we have the armed support unit, which it can be there within an hour. God forbid, if something happened in any part of the country, it can be there within an hour, which will have submachine guns, machine guns. You will have all the tactical gear of a SWAT team, basically Ireland's SWAT team. And then if something serious happens with the Army Rangers, where it can be airlifted in by the Air Corps in about 10 minutes, in any part of the country. It can be mobilised in 10 minutes to go anywhere in a helicopter, literally in 10 minutes. So it's not necessary in that sense. I can see why, I can understand why people say we should arm the guards and things like that. But if somebody's attacking the guard like in Ballyfermot, you wouldn't instantly pull a gun. I know they didn't have objects or things like that, but they were hitting them with their fists and kicking them. But they do have batons. I would suggest, that, again, some guards are afraid to use it. But there is other times during the lockdowns and stuff like that, people that were protesting and things, that the guards use excessive force against them. And then the people who cause trouble and threaten people in society and cause trouble are nothing but a nuisance in communities. The guards never use force against them, and they let them beat them up. But I do suggest the guards be more heavy-handed with these people that are threats to communities and things like that cause trouble, that are regular troublemakers like these people in Ballyfermot. Some of these people in Ballyfermot. It's and of course, and not just in Ballyfermot, but across the whole state too. There's always troublemakers. There always has to be one or two that have to cause a bit of trouble. But as we see, it is not necessary. I suggest, the one thing I suggest is tasers. I do think it'd be tasers, and I know body cameras too. I think it should be brought in body cameras. I know it would cost 200 million, but I think it's well worthwhile that they have body cameras. I think it is worthwhile to have on, so to be able to record you and things like that. And obviously, if it needs to be used in court, it can be used in court. I think, well, one thing I would say, if they were bringing in body cameras, I think they should bring in the legislation to the foreign Garda Síochána Conor. So if you tap it with a body camera, say for example, if a guard's caught out doing something wrong, again, some guards are just corrupt to the core in this state, and we have to acknowledge that. Some of them go outside the law and do what they take and do whatever they take, whatever they want to do, basically, not within the law, in other words. And I do think it should be big legislation put in place. If the war were going to bring a body cameras, there'll be 10 years if a guard taps us with a body camera. Or thousands or hundreds of hours community service, something like that. Just at the toe, I know, and it should be enforcement of it too, that the guards, it be properly, the CCTV, the camera footage will be properly archived and looked after, not tampered with in any way. That's what I would feel with body cameras. I know it's probably, people say it's paranoia, things like that, but it's just that, the guys, it's the same with every police force. If they're caught out doing something wrong, they want to be paraded in court, and the media, and paraded around social media and things like that. And obviously I do think it should be a favour to the public. If a member of the public asks for a Gowler's body camera recording of the incident or whatever it is, they should get it, of course, under the Freedom of Information Act. But that's the way I see it. So I do tasers, again, and people might say, but tasers are non-lethal compared to a gun, because again, if we give a handgun to a guard, again, instances will happen where they get frightened and things and pull a gun, on which they don't need situations. They don't need to pull a gun. People might say they were kicked and things like that up in Ballyfermot. It wasn't that serious injury, thankfully. But I don't think it would have looked good on the guards having to shoot maybe 4 people dead. If they did have guns, take for example, if they did have guns, them 2 guards shooting 4 people dead, would unarmed people. But I know people could say, they were hitting the guard and things that felt threatened and they were in danger. But I don't think shooting them with a gun and killing them, I think that would have cost, because you generally don't shoot people who are unarmed and things, that generally don't. And it's the same in the rules of war. As a prisoner of war, if you lay down your weapon, you're not supposed to be shot. Things like that. It'd be different if they're going at you with a knife. I remember there was a young lassie kidnapped and killed there a few years ago, and the detective came along and found the person that was kidnapped her. I think she was from another country, and she wasn't from Ireland. Can't remember. Probably was a few years ago. It was before the pandemic anyway. So around 2018, 2017, something like that. And a detective got him and shot him because he was coming at her with a knife. And the same there happened in Blatcherstown about 2 years ago. A person going at them with a knife. The armed support unit shot him dead. Them incidents obviously understandable, because again, somebody has a weapon. That's a weapon. It'd be different with your fist. A fist can do generally less damage than a knife or baseball bat or something like that. Generally, then you can shoot them. But I would suggest, instead of shooting them in the head, unless they have an active threat, compared to a gun, where they have a gun, shotgun or something like that, to shoot them in the leg. Obviously, I know people might say it's easy in a situation like that. I know people say, why did not shoot people in the leg and things like that if they do need to shoot. See, again, people panic. Again, this is the main point. People will panic. Guards will panic if they were put in danger. Take for example, if somebody was arguing with them and they thought it could escalate, they could shoot them in the head. Wouldn't unnecessarily. That's what I'm trying to say. And we have to think about that, because people can panic. People panic, and you don't think. And that's the thing, you don't think. So let me know what to think. But I'd say to Leo, we don't need more guns. It's about that. The guards, we have detectives, the armed support unit. I think that's reasonable enough. In the general society, technically guns are not too common. You need license, you need regulations for it. Technically, now they do have it. Unless something really changes in the next few years, but hopefully not, because it's better than having people who are unarmed going around the streets as much as humanly possible. And I think the way we have it at the moment is decent enough, and it's sustainable enough in the degree. Thank you.